Honk. What's going on, everybody? I'm still laughing at the Trish's anticipation. I love it. I love it. How's everyone doing? Welcome all. Welcome to a Sunday night stream. It is August 23rd, 2020, the last day before I must return to the salt mines, known as teaching. No, I'm just kidding. Of course, I love my job. We start tomorrow. But tonight, we have a very exciting and new show to introduce to all of you on the channel. And I hope you folks are looking forward to the premiere of Soundclash, the Clampdown. Before I introduce the person who is the mastermind behind all of this and introduce all of you wonderful players that you're going to see engaging your senses over the next few, I don't know how, actually I have no idea how long, over a number of times we will see. Let me remind everybody about ways to support us here on the channel. If you haven't done so already, please follow the channel. Please check us out on the YouTube with !ArvTube. Discord is !ArvCord. Twitter is !ArvTweets. You can find our website at arvineleron.com. On the financial side, !ArvShop for merchandise relating to both the Infinity and Beyond crew, and also the Adventures of Middle-earth crew, and soon we'll have Espergenesis stuff over there as well. We have also got the Patreon, !ArvTreon, currently sitting at $3.10 because of an annual subscription that someone just jumped on board with, so that allows you to get cool stuff for yourself and the channel, so please consider supporting us there, because it allows us to do things like pay for custom overlays and things like that, as you're just about to see that we did for this evening. !ArvTreon for that. And last but certainly not least, that sub button right underneath the video window. It's either under or above. I don't know what the latest Twitch layout looks like as far as that is concerned, but that will allow you to subscribe to the channel. We have 85 subscribers right now. Would love to see more folks jump on board with that if we possibly can. Again, that all supports the channel. It gives you custom emotes and sub badges and all that kind of good stuff, and allows you to have inspiration to help the players, including the players that you are going to meet this evening. And that is a good thing. So I hope you folks will consider doing that, and thank you for those of you who have already done so. Last but certainly not least, publishing and BLM. First of all, publishing, !Icarus for my Icarus and Jelinek graphic novels details, !Library for tales and tomes from the Forbidden Library, my D&D 5e adventure sourcebook from Alligator Alley Entertainment, and !Grayshade KS for more details about the Grayshade Kickstarter, announcement coming soon on whether that's going to be this October or next February. Last and most important, as we've been talking about, !BLM, Black Lives Matter. This will give you a link, as Echo just put there, to the blacklivesmatter.card. Really, really valuable resources there on educating yourself, educating others, and many other things, both intellectual and emotional, about support to be able to support the many causes connected to BLM, as well as donations too. So please head over there because this is extremely important to us on this channel. Now, with all that said, I have been thinking about this adventure for a while now, this campaign for a while now, probably at least 6 or 7 weeks since I started talking to the gentleman who I am about to introduce to you, since I started speaking to this person. And it was just, the pitch line was so great, and I've talked about it a million times, that I was very excited. And so, having said all of that, I am now going to unmute myself so the fine folks know that we're ready to go, and I apologize if I interrupted anybody. And then I'm going to unmute them. And last but certainly not least, I'm going to head over to, first time revealed on stream, the brand new Soundclash, the Clampdown overlay done by the amazing Shadowed Mage. Shadowed, this is great stuff, dude. Again, thank you so much. Only a Canadian could deliver this kind of awesome to this.
Hey.
And so, yeah. But no, I'm kidding about that. But it is very good. So thank you, Shadowed Mage. And thank you to this amazing crew that I'm going to allow my friend and amazing game designer and author and all that. You've seen this person recently on Masters of the Dungeon, but you are now going to, and also, of course, doing the Speculate Twitch joint campaign of Blades in the Dark. But tonight, introducing Soundclash, the Clampdown, the game designed by Brandon. And so I will hand it over, Brandon, to you, and off to the races. Good luck.
Hi, everybody. I am tremendously excited / overjoyed / afraid of having the opportunity to finally share this game with you all. It is still, as we speak, being held together by gum and duct tape, but I'm really excited to be able to share what exists presently of Soundclash, and to do so with the story that we are about to begin the telling of, which is the Clampdown. But before we begin, I would like to ask everyone who has joined me here to play this evening to introduce themselves, to talk a little bit about what they do and who they are and where they're from. Starting with Valeria. Valeria.
Hi guys, my name is Valeria Vicencio. I am an Ecuadorian creator. You can hear me on a podcast, the Kingdom Hearts Forgotten Era, which is a interstitial podcast. You can see me on Off the Table every 2 weeks, playing Monster of the Week with Russ Wild GMing, which is fantastic, and it's another all BIMPOC crew like this one. and which is pretty great. And I'll be dropping a couple things on itch.io soon. So keep a lookout.
Nice. Next, Nathan.
Hi, hello. I'm the androgynous android game show host from the future, Nathan Blades. Nice to meet you. I do a lot of what I like to describe as loud gay trash, most of which is streamed indie tabletop RPGs. Actually, on Twitch, the Neoncaster is where I put a lot of my stuff. The current major project is Arcana Core, a tabletop RPG campaign inspired by the Persona series of video games run in both simultaneously City of Mist and Void Heart Symphony. If you want to find that. Oh, I also occasionally write micro RPGs. You can find that all at sixofspades.itch.io. But yeah, nice to meet all y'all. Ready to roll some dice.
Next, Katie.
Hello, everyone. My name is Katie Chin. My pronouns are she, her. I am a Chinese Canadian in Ontario. You can hear me voicing Grace Chen in the Valence podcast on audio drama, a urban fantasy audio drama. It is not an actual play, which is a question I usually get first whenever I tell people about Valence Pod. You can find it at Valence Pod on Twitter. And I play basically a government bureaucrat for the TEA, or Thaumaturgical Energies Administration. Season 1 just ended, so you can go right from the beginning to the end. And Season 2 is being recorded right now.
Nice. And last but not least, Amr.
I'm Amr Ramirez. I use they, them pronouns, and I'm an Egyptian nerd who just kind of wandered in here. I've got a bunch of projects that are kind of ramping up. Most of them usually pop up on my Twitter at some various point. You can hear my voice on the Wings of Fears podcast, which is ramping up for season 2. I'm also going to be starting a couple other streams that I'll have more information about hopefully next time we see our lovely faces. You can also see my game design work on my itch, which is amorize.itch.io. I do a bunch of stuff there, and my freelance writing pops up in a bunch of places. Yeah, that's about it for now.
Nice. And as previously introduced, my name is Brandon O'Brien, pronouns he, him, or they, them. I am the designer of this game. Designer in scare quotes, because it's still a lot of work, and I'm really excited to share it with you all. So what I would like to open with is general character creation. All of the players have already seen the worst looking character sheets that presently exist. But this is an opportunity for us to talk about the characters that we have in mind. For the audience, I will let everyone know that in Soundclash, there is a kind of variation in terms of how characters work compared to Vanilla Blades in the Dark, which is the fact that there are only 4 character role types, which are melody, harmony, beat, and rhythm, which operate functionally the same as characters would work in Blades in the Dark, but because there is no like obvious specification as to what someone does, that character sheet gives them the opportunity to define what they like to play and how they would prefer to perform their role in that band. For instance, it is possible to be a melody who is the lead singer of a band, or just plays a particularly singular instrument in that band as a support role. It's perfectly possible, similarly, for the lead singers of a band to be collective harmonies rather than a melody and a harmony as their backup. And rhythm and beat are the other supplementary instruments that can also play leading or supporting roles, which are accentuated not only by the fact that instruments also have abilities, which will be coming soon, but that individual role sheets also have a specific kind of opening ability called a hum, of which each role has 3, and you get to pick one, but advancing your playbook for that role does not give you the ability to ever get any of the other 2. So that's one additional ability that you get over your role abilities that gives you not only the ability to distinguish yourself between other players of a similar role, but to find interesting kinds of synergies between the roles that everybody is already playing. So I say all of that to ask the players now, do you have any ideas about what roles you would like to play?
I am really fascinated by the beat role.
I like being team
Hold on for
support,
1 minute.
so
I
I
seem to
think
have
I would prefer
lost
harmony.
audio.
Hmm?
My computer's been doing a thing. I
Oh no,
apologize.
it's all good. Let me know when you're back online.
So if I caught that right, Valeria, you were interested in the beat, Nathan, you were interested in the melody.
Harmony.
Harmony. Katie, do you have a preference?
Right, I can hear you now. I have no idea what happened. I'm sorry.
Oh no.
It's all good.
No worries.
We have Val interested in the beat and Nathan interested in the melody.
Harmony.
I was leaning towards the rhythm, so this is all working out so far.
Cool. I'm the type of person who's just like, I'll pick whatever's left. So yes, that fills up the melody.
Nice.
Nice.
Hey,
Unless
there
they
we
just
go.
want to speak to the melody after
Sweet,
we
neat
accidentally
focus.
described that to them 3 times.
So I just want to check that again to be sure.
Mhm.
That's Val wanted beat, Nathan wanted harmony,
Indeedy.
Katie wanted rhythm, and that leaves melody with hammer. Okay. So as previously noted, those distinctions don't obviously determine what exactly you are doing in the band, but one of the interesting things that I want to do with this session is in the vein of you all meet in a tavern. None of you have officially formed your band yet. So when that happens, we will have that further conversation, because I want you all to be able to think a little bit more about what kind of role you'd want to play and how you want the band to develop as a result, based on some of the lore questions that I'm going to ask now about this world. But before we get to that point, I do want to get through some of the things that take place on the character sheet. Unfortunately, again, the character sheet is not perfect. But since you've all selected your roles, I would like you all to place 4 action dots in any of the other actions that are associated with that role, with that role sheet. Some of you will already have dots in some of those actions. You don't need to let me know what those actions are right now, but at some point after the stream, I will take careful note about all of those things, because it will help me gain a better sense, not only of what actions you have in mind to focus on for your character, but when I fix the character sheet, I will make it look better than the way it presently looks. What I also want you to consider, which are the things that I would like to discuss at this moment, are narrative elements related to your character and your hum and first abilities. So if anybody has anything in mind, we can start talking about narrative character development first. If anybody has anything in mind about their character, in particular, the things that matter to me at this moment are what your name is and what you do other than music in the space that you're in.
I have one of those two prepared. The second, I suppose thinking, because there's a very magical girl element to all of this. Your magical abilities inform your hobbies in that kind of thing. I wanted to go for depending on how anime are we going with surnames here, because I have two options to kind of run with.
You are well within your rights to go 100% anime if you wish.
Heck yeah.
Two of the touchstones of this game are literally Gem and the Holograms and Symphogear. So you can do whatever you want in those directions.
I would like up to 11 anime, please.
Yes, in that case, we're going to go for the first option of surname. Oliver Hoshizora, who plays the theremin in their free time, but with the general theme of stars and starry skies. When they were operating as a single talent, they went under Ophiuchus as their stage name. So I think they are something of an astronomer or astrologer, depending on how on the nose with star sign mess we want to go with bits and pieces in this. So I think that's going to be their hobby, is they want to go to space. And enjoy studying the stars.
I like this a lot. When you said space, my immediate touchstone was not anime, but it was also Japanese. There's a Japanese live-action television show called Kamen Rider Forze about a teenage boy who wants to befriend everyone in the universe, including any aliens that he meets. So all of these things immediately stand out to me as perfect. So I love it a lot.
Nice.
Does anyone else have anything else in mind?
I'm still working on the surname, but the name Ava just really connects with me. She's got to be Hispanic, because I gotta have my Spanish people in game. So I was thinking someone who I think is more of a teacher. Someone who molds young minds, and so she's definitely got this aspect of protection and taking care of other people, and I think the beat sort of lets her let loose a little bit more, rather than be the person who has to have it together. So that's what I'm more excited about for that type of character.
So just to get a sense of that, do you mean that part of the reason why Ava got into music in the first place was because it was an outlet in ways that other things weren't?
Yes, exactly.
Duly noted. That with the beat is a lot. I like that. Does anyone else have anything else in mind?
In terms of other things we do outside of music, what I have in mind is cooking, because it's like the music for the nose and the taste buds. And a lot of rhythm is about kind of getting a lot of different elements and putting it together and it becoming something greater than the sum of its parts. And the rhythm's the kind of what keeps it all together. And what food does is very similar to that, except it's for, what you eat. And it's also got a similar feeling of bringing people together.
I like that a lot. That's a brilliant metaphor for cooking that I'm now going to keep in my back pocket because I barely cook. And Amor, did you have anything in mind?
Yeah, so I think their name is going to be Nesma El, which is an Arabic name meaning melody of the heart. If we're going full anime with our names, gotta go full on the nose with my naming here. For hobby, I had one idea, but if it doesn't work, I've got another one that I can whip up in a second. But I was thinking that they were interested in either I think like they do sort of like science as a hobby, but specifically interested in studying the noise.
Ooh.
Yeah. Um,
As in, do they do this as like a layperson for their own sake, or do they have a mentor? Are they in school or are they out of school still harassing a university professor to go out of their way to help them?
think so. I think it's sort of a mix where like I think the studying of the noise is a personal passion project. I think they want to better understand the noise and help people or things that have been corrupted by the noise. Um, I think that they also don't have any sort of official support for that, and any attempt they've gotten at that has been shut down. But and so I think they're studying. Like I think they are students, or it depends what age characters we're playing. Um, that's something to discuss with the group.
Which is another thing that I wanted everyone to consider. It's perfectly fine for you to be any age that you wish in this game. There is no like narrative contextual limit that assumes that you need to be like in your 20s or 30s. It's perfectly fine if somebody wants to be older or reasonably younger than that. My only particular limit is that it would be kind of difficult for you to be below teenage, given some of the lore things that we wanted to do, as well as some of other concerns that we will get to when I get to that point. But it's perfectly fine if someone wanted to be older or younger than 20s or 30s. And in fact, it would be particularly important to me in terms of narrative hooks to know exactly who is the youngest and how many other players might be over 35.
I think my character is at least under 35, but I don't know if she'd be the youngest.
Yeah, like the way that everything occurs to me right now, I feel like everybody but Ava is definitely guaranteed to be on the younger side, but Ava can definitely still be young, but there's still room for an older character in that
Brandon,
kind of...
can I be a mom? Brandon, I want to be a mom. Can I be a
okay.
mom?
You can do that.
I want to be a mom, and I want to be over 35. I feel like Ava's definitely like nervous about now that I feel it, like she's nervous about being in this scene. She definitely feels like she doesn't belong, but she also wants to rock.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like all of this. This is brilliant.
So I figured out my character's name is River Song.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for that.
Doctor
Thank you. I appreciate that a lot.
Wait, who did you say?
No, that works absolutely. My knowledge of Doctor Who is very small. Maybe they are also a good cook.
Oh, is that who it's from? I actually don't watch Doctor Who.
Oh, then that's
Did I
even
do
better.
a thing?
That's perfect.
Even better.
That's perfect.
Absolutely.
So now you have a choice. You can either say that's not what you want, or you can be doomed to play a campaign where people will constantly remind you.
People are going to make Doctor Who references to me that I'm not going to know. And you know what?
No, absolutely not.
I got no idea.
I'm totally down, because I don't know if I'm going to be watching the chat. Hello, chat.
It's going to be Brandon and Val making Doctor Who references back to one another while the rest of us just watch.
I only know like the meme stuff. So like wibbly wobbly, timey wimey, etc., etc.
Maybe that's your power set.
Bigger on the inside.
Basically it.
I mean, same. But every once in a while, I'll just introduce you in particular to a character, just wink to the chat, and then continue like nothing has happened.
Nope, it's too late. That's who I am now.
Nice.
So I wanted to get again to make sure. Amber, can you type in chat your character's name so I know how to spell it so I don't get
would you like it in our Zoom or the Twitch chat?
You can put it in either. I'm sure the chat would also like to get it right.
Yeah. They keep pronouns.
Right, and I should definitely make sure to get everyone's pronouns as well. So I take it Oliver is.
I think Oliver's just he/him. It's not. They're not too complicated in that regard. Their egg may crack down as time passes. Who knows?
Oh yes.
But I identifies as he/him for now. Oh, also because we were talking a little bit about age, because my kind of like artist touchstone for Oliver is like FKA Twigs, young Frank Ocean kind of like ballpark. They are probably like 22. Whether that makes them de facto youngest, but you know, start of their musical career making gay sad boy music for SoundCloud, that kind of vibe.
Which all works for me. So right. So I should ask Riva's age and pronouns.
Let's see. She, her pronouns. As for age, yeah, I'd probably just put mid-20s. I don't know how musical schools work in this world, but I'm imagining some sort of classically trained, whatever that means, in this world.
Oh yeah, there is room for classical training that we will get to when we get to lore, obviously, and kind of flesh out exactly how distinct and brutal that might be. And I think that's everything that I've gotten in terms of narrative. So I should make. Did I get your age?
No,
All right. I just wrote student and assumed that was a number. I'm sorry.
No, that's perfectly fair. And actually, I think I'm going to lean into that. I think they're around 20. I think he's a grad student, overachiever who like graduated undergrad really early and is now burnt out in grad class because of band plus side project researching the noise.
Okay, duly noted. Things are fleshing out in my brain, but before we get to the rest of the lore, I want to ask definitely what you may have in terms of your hum and your first ability on your character sheet, if you had anything in mind so far.
There is one on the beat that lets me make an explosive noise that pushes back and disorients, or an invisible shield that takes one blow, which is so legit, and I want it really bad. And so that's definitely the hum I was looking for. And to go along with that sort of like protective sort of energy, that the protective mom energy that I want to bring to this, I was looking at make way. You may push yourself to do one. Pry open a path to enter or leave a space. Push a crowd apart to make room. Block or push back an obstruction. Like, I feel like that definitely has like that protective like teacher energy. Like, I got to get to my students. I got to protect my students. But also that like hard rock energy of like, get the heck out of my way.
Just like rushing a crowd that it just parts in front of you. Yeah, I like that a lot.
In terms of the hum, I was thinking going for once each performance, you may push yourself to increase another bandmate's roll by one level. For example, pushing a minor success to a success for direct team supportage. And in terms of special abilities, physical talent, you are innately talented at one of the following: machines, hacking, costume design, something physical and intricate. To which hacking I would like to take, please.
Okay.
They are a techie.
I'm definitely looking forward to see what kind of wild shenanigans we get up to now that someone's a hacker on the team.
that may set a time period, I suppose.
Yeah, fair enough.
Can I be technologically illiterate?
I am taking that note now.
Oh no.
just for the chaos.
I'm so excited to at least try and help you.
So you have an acoustic instrument then, otherwise this is going to get very complicated very quickly.
I was thinking that if no one takes it, drums. Hitting stuff is what I'm all about.
Yeah. Let's see.
Noted.
For hums, I'm into when you join in a group action, straining rolls have no adverse effects. And then for special abilities, I have one here called Backbone. During a performance, any stunning performance roll gives you a point of moxie. Bandmates may spend it to improve their roll's effect level. So just tons of us bumping up all of our effects together because we're a band.
Mm-hmm. And since you've mentioned that, it means that I get to describe Moxie to the chat. Moxie is a unique resource in the game Soundclash. It's based very vaguely on a resource in another Forged in the Dark game called Scum and Villainy. In that game, it's called Gambits, which essentially allows players to, whenever they wish to use a point of this resource, either add +2 to a roll, or if they have an ability that allows them to spend Moxie in other ways, they can spend Moxie to use that thing. And as a band, they gain 1 point of Moxie and can gain an additional point of Moxie whenever I can't remember what the rule was that I had specifically, but there is a certain kind of roll that whenever they make that roll, regardless of whatever alternative consequence, they gain a point of Moxie, which I think would be really useful in this game. It's also obviously very narratively on point that a band full of people pushing their luck regularly in order to make it in this industry should have a certain amount of innate luck surrounding them at all times, or else things would always explode. For example, see every time that a minor conflict in Gem and the Holograms leads to major property damage. So yeah. So I have hums and abilities for everybody, but Amara's character.
Yeah. So I have a hum that I was interested in, but I want to talk with the group first because I realized it could potentially hit some points of uncomfortableness for people that I want to talk about. And it's not, there's a second hum that I'd be interested in, which is the first hum. I can push myself to spend 1 moxie to do any of the following: deliberately affect one person's emotional state, briefly convince someone to take a small deliberate action, or make a small crowd stop what they're doing. The reason I bring it up is because it's got psychic memory sort of, or not memory, but psychic emotional manipulation stuff. I'm interested in playing around that, kind of treating it with that understanding. But if folks are not comfortable with that, I'm happy to choose a different one.
Oh, I'm down. Love that kind of inter-party drama and potential betrayal. So yeah, no, I'm into that.
I'm comfortable with it as long as we can always discuss and stop if things go too far.
I don't plan to ever use it on PCs unless we explicitly discuss and both consent to it in advance. And then use it on NPCs. Most of the time, it will be either it will be probably acknowledged in and or out of fiction as an act of violence. So that is kind of what it is in a lot of situations, to manipulate someone else's emotions. That's the consent.
I'm down. Bring it on.
In that case, that is the hum I will be taking. For special abilities, I think I will then go with it's in the rider. You can always tell if something in your immediate environment has changed and whether a rival or industry agent is responsible.
I like that one a lot. I was really proud of myself for having written that ability.
It's a fun one.
Yeah.
Very fun.
So it gives you the innate superpower of being able to tell whether your immediate environment has been changed, which is very useful to discover traps, see if something has been removed from your space, etc., which is good. So, with that, I think we've done all of the immediate character things that I wanted to get out of the way. So before we do lore, I definitely want to make sure that we have read for the audience all of the lines and veils for this session. Many of which I'm still literally putting in a document to make available for the rest of the group later. But the lines that we have so far are harm to children, harm to animals, explicitly described sexual acts, explicitly described romance, emotional or physical abuse between player characters, homophobia, transphobia, racism, sexism, self-harm, pregnancy, miscarriage, or abortion, sexual assault, terrorism, torture, and injectable drugs. Our veils are insects, rats, gore or body horror, any depictions of abuse, specific cultural or social issues which must be brought up beforehand before we delve deeper into those things in game, real world religion, cancer, freezing to death, gaslighting, genocide, thirst or dehydration, paralysis or restraint, starvation, and loss of autonomy via non-consensual drugging. With that in mind, I wanted to make sure of a few things deliberately on stream, just to get everybody's baseline on those things. Does real-world religion include things that can be portrayed as cults? I asked because that is a baseline for me.
Sure,
Oops, sorry.
Sure. Oh no. I wouldn't necessarily put cults in the same ballpark as larger organized religion personally. So topics discussing that wouldn't bother me personally.
Okay. How does anyone else feel?
Me personally, I can totally understand people lumping that in together, but for me personally, that's not an issue. But okay. I can totally understand if it is an issue for other people.
I don't consider cults an issue.
Same here.
With respect to, story elements.
Okay. Also, in terms of real world religion, what are the crew's thoughts on portrayals of how do I phrase this articulately and as usefully as possible? Portrayals of government organizations that take the shape of Christian theocracy.
Oh yeah, dunk on them all day. That's fine.
Oh god.
The separation of church and state kind of deal and people abusing that is obvious. It feels something relevant to the discussion of the subject matter here. So that would be fine to discuss in game for me personally.
Okay. Is that an issue for anyone else? No? Val, what are your thoughts?
I'm Catholic, but I also am one of the first people to turn around and jump down other people's not jump down other people's throat, but I'll be the first one to call out hypocrisy with my own religion. So I'm totally cool with sort of exploring that space, as long as everyone else is as well. I just might be I might be somebody who can what's it called? Because I'm in it, I can very easily pick apart is very, I guess, accurately what can be specifically wrong with it. Mm-hmm. And so I might get a little bit fervent about it too, but I'll try and sort of like chill
Okay.
out.
Duly noted. Although to be fair, my intention is obviously to have that displayed in such a way that the dramatic aspects of theocracy are dealt with without going out of our way to be blasphemous or anything like that. So yeah. Um, Other things that I wanted to ask deliberately on stream is, given the year that we're presently in and the fact that everyone is home for a reason, I want to definitively get everyone's answer on whether to draw a line on any um, explicit portrayals or representations of illness in a way that resembles COVID-19.
Yeah, I would say yes to that. Like as a line there.
Definitely. Cool.
It's because both for us and for our audience, I don't think anyone needs more of that at this time.
Mm-hmm.
Reasonable. I guess a line is fine. I'd be okay with veil, but yeah, line if that's the.
No, yeah, I just
response.
recovered from that shit. I don't need to fucking.
Oh, congratulations! One.
Oh yes.
Oh, yeah, it was rough, but yeah, I'm cool with not having it in the game at all.
Yeah.
Duly noted.
I would have said veil, but line, yep. A+.
Yeah, works for me. So that is definitely a line. And last but not least, because of the nature of Soundclash as a game, because not only is magic involved, but interaction with music is obviously involved, I definitely wanted to get everyone's sense on how to deal with any magical or other interaction that leads to loss of hearing or loss of voice.
I think that's super cool. Like, it's probably gonna be like really terrifying when it happens, but I think it's super cool. So I'm totally for it.
Okay. Is that a line for anyone else?
That one's really interesting because absolutely give me that good Little Mermaid old school shit. Oh gosh. However, currently in the hot tabletop RPG discourse is the representation of physical disabilities in content and handling that in a way if you're able-bodied. So I suppose it's kind of like highlighting that it is a magical, maybe temporary thing. I don't think I have the nuance or personal experience to handle stuff like permanence of stuff like loss of ability. I wouldn't know how to handle that as an actor. But the idea of exploring that as a magical temporary thing and that being clear that that's an effect in the narrative, I think would be fine personally.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree with that. I would also say that I am also personally more comfortable speaking from like the loss of ability to speak or vocalize side from my own sort of personal experiences. So I'd be comfortable helping in that regard. Yeah, second everything that was happening.
Yeah, I'm okay with it as a story element. I will say now that I don't have personal experience with loss of. Well, actually, I do have a bit of experience with loss of speech, but not loss of hearing. But yeah, it can be in there.
Okay. Duly noted. Right. And the only other things that were noted in our consent checklist was to always have discussion about the potential death of both player characters and significantly narratively significant non-player characters, which is obviously fine by me as well. So yeah. With those things considered, this sounds like a very important. This sounds like a good place for us to decide to ask some questions about the world that we're actually going to be playing in. many of which I want to be in the hands of the players because I want you to have things that you have a dramatic attachment to as a character. And I want those places to matter definitively to you as a result of those circumstances. But first, we need to ask big questions, which starts first and foremost with the question of how magic entered your world. In the game Soundclash, all music gaining magical properties is a result of a very recent history. Our players didn't necessarily have to be present when it happened, but it did happen very, very recently in their history. And as a result of that experience has changed the way that we as players and as a GM presently experience the world in very distinct ways as a result of attaching itself to musical performance. So the very first question that needs to be asked as a result is, how did it enter the world? In the game of Soundclash, this is referred to mechanically as the drop. In the game itself, this may end up being the official term or not. We may end up finding our own narrative language for it as we continue playing, but in the rules, it's called the drop. In the rules, there is no definitive way of how this can happen. There are just sketches that describe ways that it can happen. It can be that a magical comet passed in the sky one night, and without anybody noticing, suddenly music just gained magical properties, and they were aware of the fact that it was that comet's proximity that gave them that power. It could similarly be that one afternoon, while everyone was just minding their own business, the sky broke, and out from it, everyone heard this very distinct sound that the mere exposure of the sound suddenly started warping the world magically, including adding magical properties to all musical performance. One of the things that I know for a fact in this world is whatever the drop is includes a song that people have heard. Beyond that, I give everyone the ability to discuss what they would like that to be. How did that song become audible in the world?
I have thoughts, but I'll let somebody go first.
Thoughts are good. Thoughts are good. I want thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
So, bringing up another role-playing game, one of my favorite games, just based off the worlds they create, is actually Numenera, in which there are worlds that happen over and over again, cycles that keep repeating of extinction and rising back up. And I'd totally be cool if it's like, if it's sort of like a cycle, like where the magic in music has come back, and it comes in sort of goes in ages. I think like that type of thing would be really cool.
That hits on one of Brandon's touchstones in the document, if I recall, because you mentioned the Wicked and the Divine comic series in your document, which is actually about that kind of like cycle of power that enchants a fixed number of people who gain access to magic. So yeah, that definitely fits within that. The thoughts I was kind of having when you brought this up previously, I was thinking of like the OG Shin Megami Tensei games, which was all about using technology to summon demons and realizing that the overlap between code and demonology was something that could be discovered and utilized. And I quite like the idea that, you know, the frequency of which magic is part of was discovered and can be specifically played, which, you know, can tie into the idea of spaces where that sound is available or not. But, you know, I also really, really like that idea of loops and it being, we happen to be part of the year, the decade, the 6 months of magic existing in the world.
Yeah. Adding on to like it being all part of a cycle and it's just starting again and may fade away later. I like the idea of like the universe having kind of a resonance or frequency that it just so happened that like the frequency of music happens to be aligning with. And the fact that we can tap into the like universal frequency um with music would just be piece of flavor, I guess. Um yeah, and just the universal frequency, since I'm just going to keep using that, just happened to resonate with our world at that moment. And since it just ebbs and flows as time goes on, that this is just our time, that it's a time that we can tap into it right now.
Okay.
So from what I'm hearing, are y'all picturing this as more like something that comes and goes on the scale of lifetimes, not on the scale of like generations, like it happens every few years or whatnot? Or are you picturing this as something that this is the first time we've seen it in perhaps a few generations?
I like the idea of it being generational.
I would lean
I was
that way
thinking
myself
the
as well.
same.
Yeah.
Yeah, every other generation does tie that in quite well to the corporate element of the setting and how the music and magic is monetized, because I know that's part of the discussion that occurs. Because then if it's generational, that feels that can come and go with real world like music tastes. We every so often revive like music trends from say the 60s and that being cool again, or currently we're going through the 80s sound being cool again. And I like the idea that while magic exists within music in the world, there are a number of people well, we need to capitalize on this before it leaves the world again and it's no longer profitable, because that gives us a thing to push against. We ourselves are also interested in making the best use of it while it exists, but there are other people doing so for maybe more selfish or at least more capitalist reasons.
So, so going on that, like what's everyone been saying about like the sort of playing the resonant frequency of the universe, is that something where like someone deliberately or accidentally played something in that frequency, or does the frequency just like shift generationally and align naturally by how the universe works?
I like the idea of it being something that anybody can do, just as long as you know the compositional technique that it requires. Continuing to be full anime, there's a manga series called Witch Hat Atelier, which is all about people who can cast magic through drawing elaborate symbols. And to keep the idea of it exclusive, or at least not so people don't recklessly make fireballs in their living room, they sell a big story of it being only select people who can do it. But actually, as long as you know how to draw it properly, anybody can. And I quite like that idea, because then it means there's some people who are discovering it by accident, but there are also people who have been taught how to be able to do the thing.
May I suggest that then maybe like whatever kicked off this latest wave of magic was something like someone in like an indie scene or a smaller scene accidentally discovered it, and then corporations instantly rushed in to like cut that up and then claim ownership over it and do the thing you're describing, Nathan. It's like it started with that sort of like localer knowledge. Someone accidentally did it on an indie level, or someone was playing some ska music and figured it out, and then companies immediately covered that up.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good.
I'm into this a lot because it speaks almost definitively to one of the few things about this universe that I already know for a fact is true. Nice. Which is, and I'm going to use the language that has now been given to me because this concept for the drop is so cool, which is that every few generations, whatever latent technology exists on Earth just naturally taps into this frequency of the universe that allows us to hear the song that grants magic back into the world, which has its own half-life whenever time passes as a result, which is why it takes place on this span of generations in the first place. One of the things about how the world functions, how your immediate setting functions, is that as a result of regaining that magical power, the powers that be, the governmental authorities in your universe, have sold this very strong story that this song, this frequency, reinforces their values, and that if you care about their values, then you gain the blessings of magic in your universe as a result. And that's how they get people to continue staying in line. That's how the industry tries in its own way to try to work within those boundaries, whether the industry likes it or not. And as a result, they describe the song that they hear from that frequency in very sharp militaristic ways. They describe it almost like an anthem. But very few people in the universe know that that song is actually punk as hell. And as a result, the government that be has tried to delete punk from the history books. When you eventually enter this game, you will enter with the acknowledgement that the thing that you are making theoretically doesn't exist, and that's why it's rad, because it doesn't exist anywhere else. They have tried to stamp out punk elsewhere so strongly that you cannot even find any touchstones of your genre anywhere else in your universe.
Okay.
I was thinking a little bit about time period that this might be set in. A mixture of me taking hacker and wanting to make my main instrument a theremin at least puts us in a kind of very specific time period. But the fact that it's
doesn't Moog still make theremins?
I mean, yeah, a good friend of mine still plays the theremin, which is why I wanted to do it, because it's a really cool instrument. But like now that we live in an information age, the ability to pass down information from person to person is easier, but it's also easier for other people outside of those communities to find and make use of. So I think that ties in quite naturally with the fact that it was something that was maybe passed down in kind of close relationships, and then other people managed to kind of get hold of it a little easier. It's easy to spread the message, but it's also easy for other people to obtain the message.
And other people to co-opt the message too.
Yeah. I see someone mentioned in the chat DMCA notices used as a way to keep people from using magic. Like that is a thing that we can also consider as well. How has the corporate enterprise attempted to literally take ownership of this thing in order to control how people use it?
So I have a random comment and a clarity question. The random comment is what David just said made me think of like illegal or off-brand or like dark web versions of the song that don't work quite as expected that are like sold around. That have no side effects at all, we promise. But like people trying to DIY the songs and whatnot. The same question I was having is, as a point of clarity, so like there's this song that taps into resonant frequency in the universe that gives us access to magic, right? Does all magic have to play that song, or does that song simply unlock the magic for a person or an area or a thing?
It simply unlocks that process. You can do with it immediately afterward, whatever you wish.
Gotcha. Cool.
Which I think we want to jump a little ahead of having read your rules document earlier today, and there was a dedicated bit about talking about the structure of songs and how those work mechanically. And I really like that it's a stepped process, also has connections with, rituals and spells being stepped processes, but they also have opening and closing of circles. I am also a witch nerd. This is great. Yeah. So the idea that there is something in music where you have to do an opening or closing within a song for the spell to work at all sounds sensible. But also what happens if you start a circle and don't close it or forget is clearly a thing that could be explored with disastrous results. Who knows?
Adding on to that, I kind of like the part of the reason I asked the question is then I love the idea that part of the sort of control is they sell because they have access or quote unquote exclusive access to the song.
Mhm.
They either reveal small notes for specific events, or they sell the myth that like, hey, you can only access the magic within our concert halls or using
Mhm.
our specific song structures. And so part of the whole like punk approach is about trying to reconstruct that song, or like, hey, actually, we can find magic anywhere. You just need to know the song. It's not about the places. It's about the song.
Mm-hmm. Which immediately gets to two other lore questions that I want to ask as a result, because all of this is very meaty. If we are describing this on the scale of generational timelines, did this song re-emerge on Earth while any of you were presently alive? Like, were you all here when it happened, or did it happen before you were born?
I personally like the idea of it happening while we were alive.
So do I, which immediately leads to my next question, which is one of the things that I think would be particularly interesting as a result is that one of you have heard the frequency in its entirety. You know what it is. You know how it exists in its pure, untainted form. Which one of you is it, and how did you react when it happened?
So, because everyone is literally like almost half of Ava's age,
Mm-hmm.
I really like the idea that like Ava first heard the frequency when she was in her 20s, and she got to hear the whole thing since maybe people were a little bit younger when this happened comparatively to her, and that's sort of like that rebellion streak that she's got in her,
Okay.
even though she's like a teacher, and even though
So I
teaching
get.
can be super rebellious. Sorry.
I mean, yes, but I mean, so questions that emerge from that as a result are, what were you doing at the time that you heard it?
I think she was probably. How old do you guys want to be when you heard this? Is pretty much going to
I'm
be my
already
question
imagining the incident of when I heard it being when I was banging on like a Schroeder Peanuts-esque piano, and it just kind of resonated with what I was doing.
right now. That's so great.
But as a child, I didn't remember all of it. So I'm guessing like 6.
Yeah. If it happened in Ava's 20s, everybody else would be like between 5 and 7 years old, roughly.
Like closer, like if it's like 27, 28, like people can be like close
Yeah,
to 10.
Mhm.
Which, I don't know, that fits. I think that fits the story that Oliver is kind of building as a character so far. Discovering an ability in the ballpark of being 10 is very Ash Ketchum, and I am here for it.
But also, from a narrative perspective, it means that all of you have had this energy inside you, like this attachment to the song, from a very young age with no like discernible reason why. Like, so, some of you probably don't even remember what the song sounds like, but that experience in its own way kind of predestined your position in this place, because that generated a certain kind of rebellious energy in you since you were very young.
It's so anime.
Yes, I
So-
love it.
it.
So I'm gonna get a little bit real with you guys. I feel like she heard this song in its entirety while deciding that she was going to leave her husband. That she was gonna take her kid, and she was just gonna be like, and she was gonna leave her husband. And I feel like that's when she heard it, and that's when she's just like, no, I don't need this current life that I have, and I'm gonna have a new life. I think that's what happened when she heard it.
I'm just imagining a vision of like a path of your path, except it's like a scale. It looks like a scale, and then it diverts off in a different direction,
That's super
Yeah.
cool. And
like
I'm
sheet
super into
music.
it.
I'm,
Yes.
I'm definitely picturing. Go on with me on a story journey very presently. You've resolved that this is the time that it's going to happen. It's happening today, but you're kind of caught up with emotions. So it's cool. I've got my tunes on my favorite off-brand MP3 device that we have available, and if I listen to this song that I love, then it'll calm me down. And you put your earbuds in and you press play, and nothing happens, and you're like, no, it can't break now. No, absolutely not. It's not. And then it plays something entirely different that you've never heard before into your ears, and you hear it, and you're like, that wasn't what I was expecting, but it was what I needed. You now have some clarity of the circumstances of it. You try to find the song again, you can't. It's not in your MP3 anymore. It seems that to be working as normal again, but what was that melody? And every so often you'll think about what that was on your MP3 player.
I fucking love it. Sorry, I really love that.
Ooh, it inspired of movement.
Mm-hmm.
Which
Exactly.
is another music thing.
I see what you did there. I saw that. Which also gives us a very interesting narrative opportunity to say, if it was if we're saying that you were like listening to your walk person or whatever we're going to call this
Walk person, great.
media
I
playing
love that.
device. Let's say that a name actually came up for the song. What's the name of the song? You're the only person that knows it by name.
It's I feel like it's definitely something like I feel like it's something like really quote unquote deep, but like she didn't she hates saying it aloud because it sounds fake deep, but I like something like End of Isolation. Like I'm like, even though she's leaving, she's not going to be alone anymore, and I feel like that's what she looked for, and that's what it inspired her like to reach out to other people, and so I really like End of Isolation for that. But it definitely came up in Spanish. She was looking at it and she's like, what? El fin de isolación.
I am taking note of that. End of Isolation for future narrative reasons that will surely never become a dramatic issue for all of you as players at some point. Right. So other things are your relationship to the place that you live. So the way that I have imagined this place is, as a result of constantly experiencing and attempting to capitalize on magic, your continent, which is definitely not the United States, has been now essentially portioned off into hexes, where each state is just a large hex-shaped cluster of internal neighborhoods, of which your neighborhood is in one of those hex states. What is the name of that? What is the new name of that state, and what is the name of your neighborhood?
So I like the idea that perhaps there's a dual naming where there's like a corporate name of like music term number is how they name them officially, and then every neighborhood has like its own name that's going around that like we colloquially use.
So to clarify, you mean that the state has a name, its neighborhoods have a name that is essentially state name dash number, and those living in the neighborhood essentially said, nah, screw that,
Yeah.
we're calling this X because we've always lived here and this is the thing that we want to be known as.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
You
I
know, like,
love that so much.
I immediately went and looked up like the different chord modes in music, like, you know, Phrygian, Dorian, Lydian, and so on and so
Ooh.
forth.
Phrygian 5 stuff.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like the super scale of the major hexes are different mode names with sub numbers and so on and so forth. Because if this is a post music affecting the world, it seems depressingly pithy that they would use a musical term to regiment the people who now live within that space. Or is that too on the nose?
I love that.
On the nose is good. I thought we were already going full anime.
Yeah, no, subtext is for cowards.
So I didn't think of like a neighborhood name yet, but I already wrote down Sonata number 6.
I like that.
Because that's just like if you like learn piano or whatever, you get these books with all these pieces you learn, and none of them have like names. They're just Sonata number 6, like movement number 1 by Handel for some reason made this.
Yeah, all the wards could be described as sonatas instead. That sounds pretty plausible, because it means that every ward has its own like ward theme that like all the school kids have to learn. Crap like that.
Sounds so freaking awful. I love it.
God. There's a small part of my brain just yelling, Sonata number blank, sponsored by blank.
Oh no, yeah, your ward has a corporate sponsor. I'm very sorry.
Oh, it's so awful. I love it. I love it so much.
After all, there are regional corporate championships that happen every year for the best band from each ward. And so they have to have, you know, their outfit and stage design and everything has to be mandatorily funded by some kind of company. They're all subsidiaries of the same mega corporation, but no, people tend not to actually dig that deep.
Yeah, essentially.
You know, they're all Nestle. Like, it's just different branches.
They all just kind of pyramid back up into at least like 3 or 4 major corps. But like, it's not like they really don't work together whenever necessary, to the point where they all just count as one large capitalistic enterprise anyway. So it's not like you would ever notice that it was 4 in the first place. Especially since there are so many smaller companies you can't even keep track. That's how wild this is. So I love the idea of Sonata number 6. I'm going to come up with a very weird brand for something so literally useless at some point, and that's going to be definitely what's kind of sponsoring this area. But what is the neighborhood's own name? What does it call itself?
Currently on Pokemon Fusion, trying to think of names by combining Pokemon names.
That's so good.
That's clever. I've never invented names that way, but now I need to do that for tabletop stuff.
I mean,
honestly, one of the first ones that popped up, which is musically appropriate, is Clef Knight. Which is a combination of Clefable and Ammonite.
I am always a classic for Noun Hills, Noun Vale, Noun Grove. Some proper Mighty Morphin Power Rangers stuff. Was that Angel Grove is where they're from? That's
that's the first
Angel
season.
Grove.
I feel like
I do like Clef Knight Hills. I'm not gonna lie, it's got spirit, but it's also got like that awful sort of like, don't call it Clef Knight Hills, are you?
We just call it the Clefs here. Yeah. It's fine.
The Clefs.
I do think so good though.
I like the Clefs. In particular, I like the idea that, because I mean, magic in this universe matters just as much to individual citizens as it does to the powers that be. So obviously they would have developed their own kind of language, their own kind of monuments around the fact that magic has entered their universe. So what if before the corporate naming of their area, when magic first popped up, however many generations before you were here, um, someone like carved a monument into the tallest mountain in your ward, and everyone like typically just refers to that monument as the Clefs and therefore refers to this entire area as the Clefs. And then when it started being boarded up into a hex, it just so happened to still be in that area, so everybody just refers to this hex as the Clefs from the inside.
I also was
I
thinking
really
like,
like that.
what if
Oh, sorry.
this,
Go ahead.
what if this is not a like there, we have each ward is named after a sonata and a number or what have you, right? We're sonata number 6. What if there's an actual song for sonata number 6 that is given by whatever corporate entity or government entity is in charge of the ward, and our neighborhood is also in charge of playing like the clef scale portion of that song, and so it's like a double meaning where like we've taken back the word clefs because it's both our monument and because that's what we are relegated to by the corporate entity. And so like
I love that.
reclaiming the name rather than being like, oh yeah, y'all are playing these notes. And it's like, no, we are the clefs. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, I like that. Like the idea that there is some like minor portion of your entire state song that you are permitted to sing, but over the years all of the folks in that neighborhood have actually seen that as a source of pride, and they literally go out of their way to be as bombastic as possible in this performance. Like, this is the smallest part of the song. You're not supposed to be making some, but we have pride in our neighborhood. We're gonna do this right. It's like, yeah.
That particular sequence of like 4 to 6 notes comes up as a common leitmotif in a lot of compositions done by people from the area.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I like that.
I also feel like there's usually an expectation with like the clef scale to be sort of like the accompanying hand or the accompanying notes to like the main tune, and us rejecting that concept as a neighborhood and like claiming like what you were saying about like being overly bombastic with our notes rather than like this sort of being this accompanying background tune.
Nice.
I'm just imagining as a neighborhood, we have like, we sell vuvuzelas that each play one of the 4 or 6 notes, so that whenever it's our turn, we all just play it as obnoxiously as possible. Like, these are our 4 notes, and we're going to own them.
On that like hill / mountain with the statue carved, so you can hear it from like quite far away. We're quite obnoxious about it.
Like in your local music, in your local instrument stores, you can buy like novelty brass instruments that have every other note but those notes like sealed off, so you can just play this series of notes. Yeah. Novelty singamajigs in the local toy store that just play those notes. Yeah, I love it a lot.
Strings tuned so that they only work for those notes.
Mm-hmm.
That's so good.
Wow, I love our neighborhood, the clefs.
Yeah.
So in this neighborhood, in this ward, every one of you has like a specific place that you can go to that matters just to you. This is an opportunity to like put a cultural signifier or a place where you feel like your character would gain a great deal of personal or narrative value. It doesn't necessarily need to be any of the places that have already been qualified. Like, I already know that there has to be a university nearby, and that university is definitely going to be important to the rest of the plot. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. But this is an opportunity to say, like, what's your favorite place to eat? Where do you practice your faith? Is there a place that you like to get away to when you don't want to think about the world or don't want to think about the corpse? Each of you has one of those places that you can describe right now.
I would like for there to be like a community center, like one where like you have like the soccer fields, the basketball courts, and everything, because I would love to have like a big like a big place where I think Ava would like suggest any students that like don't have a place to like go after school or something like that, where she can sort of like take take kids, take care of kids, and volunteer there, but also get like really into like child soccer, like little league like soccer.
Mm-hmm.
You
With
yell
this
at the
really
ref.
loud Latinx moms. She's definitely like one of the coaches for her school, and she definitely does yell at refs in this child game.
Well, yeah, definitely.
You will not screw her kids out of their goals. But like a good place for like the community to like get together and like young people to find a place to like be instead of
Mhm.
like having to worry about not having a place to go.
Yeah. And it does feel like Ava would care very much about like being a part of creating spaces where um other children might feel safe, because I imagine that some level of safety did speak to your own personal decision to move in the first place. Um which I dig. So yeah. Also the opportunity to shout at coaches. I'm going to give you at least one of those opportunities, definitely. Um does anyone else have a place in mind?
Sure. So there was initially an observatory within the Clefts, probably partially owned by the university to be able to look at the stars, and then it lost funding
Mm-hmm.
and since closed. And Oliver went there as a kid a lot to be able to look at the stars, and then after the building being closed and they weren't able to get in there anymore, they on the regular do a degree of urban exploration and kind of break into the space on clear nights. And as a teenager went to look at the stars and write absolutely garbage poetry. But as more of an adult and they think they're better at expressing themselves artistically, they tend to do really long-winded minor key jams to the stars instead, but only on clear nights. And there's no point going if you can't see the sky.
Mm-hmm. So I want to do you one better.
Mm-hmm.
The observatory didn't just close. It's now a branded object.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
This is like the Snickers Observatory or some shit now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still always closed. But that's because other things are taking place in that building now, which means that you get an opportunity to discover what those other things are.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
It was easier to break
dig
in
that
when
a
it
lot.
wasn't owned, but now it's owned.
Yeah.
There's an awkwardness in trying to actually make it there to play anymore.
Mm-hmm. So, does anyone else have a location in mind?
Do you have something? Or I can go now.
I have something, sure. I'm not sure exactly where this is going to be in the hex, like what's around it, but I'm imagining this alley that's got, first of all, a bunch of cats, but also the structure, the architecture of the buildings between it causes the sound to just funnel right back down. So it doesn't really go out. It stays within the alley. So the only people who can hear what's going on in there are the cats and River, who likes to play her fiddle there to relax.
Okay.
So it's just like a de-stress point. And yeah, well, I guess magic would happen there if she's playing music, but also it would hopefully stay centered to the alley. I don't know how magic works yet. We're going to find out.
Oh, yes, we're going to find out because one of the questions that I want to ask as a result is in this universe, there is, as previously described, uh, a sense of magical distortion called the noise, where weird things tend to happen. Anything from minor glitches in the universe to this is the portal from which demons will descend upon the planet Earth. Have you ever experienced or seen or heard of stories where somebody else experienced an artifact of the noise in that alley?
Sorry, can you explain noise again so that I can better answer the question?
Right. So I'm actually going to um, open the Soundclash document and read the way that noise is described in the rules, just so that makes better sense. By better sense, I mean just a fraction of a bit more sense than it presently does. Hold on. Right. Some pockets of the world touched by magic are broken, spotty with rifts of restless musical energy known as noise. So called because they are most easily noticed by an audible natural song devoid of melody, harmony, or structure. From these rifts, humans and animals may become corrupted, local flora may be possessed, items may be magically touched, strange sorceries may be cast over towns and their citizens, or even worse. Those gifted with spell song can fortunately not only close these rifts by performing to them, but they can draw additional power from it, a process unfortunately known to corrupt those who try to do so poorly.
Okay. Actually, yeah, that sounds perfect because since music gets trapped in this alley so often, sometimes noise manages to sneak in. So another good reason why River might go there and like de-stresses, maybe she notices the cats are being a little more uppity than usual, and it's because of noise, and she manages to play it away.
Ah, I like that.
See, that's great, and also factors into what I'm about to ruin.
Which is?
Well, first one, is there anything else you want to say, Katie?
Nope, I think I'm good there.
Cool.
Just the buildings are pretty wacky. That's just what I want known. Like, why would something curve up like this on the side of a wall and not be straight like a lot of other buildings? But yeah, I'm good.
So I think my spot is there is a lake somewhere in Sonata 6. And as a kid, I accidentally fell in and discovered that there's a cave you can only access by going like under and swimming a little. And you pop out in a pool, and there's no like above ground or underground access to the cave. It's only from this like little dive. And that cavern is a place that I've sort of created into my own little space that I go to relax. Especially because the way it echoes in on itself when I play. Even though I'm the melody, I like to play drums a little in my free time, and they sort of echo in on itself inside the hill, and it feels like the hill itself is booming. It's also sort of like a small place where I've got like a small little like place to practice my like de-stressing, get away, and take a nap away from anyone watching me, that kind of thing. To do any religious ceremonies, that stuff. I also think recently that people avoid the lake entirely because there is a very small, barely perceptible hint of noise around the lake, and no one. It's more like an urban myth because no one has found any like opening or any rifts or anything. They just hear the sound of the noise. Sometimes you get too close, people have just stopped avoiding it. And the reason no one has found it is because it's in that cave. That little rift is in that cavern. If you're cool with that.
I like that a lot because I like the idea of the music that takes place in the cave just kind of ebbing back out into the lake, but nobody knows where the source of that is, and maybe that's what's leading a part of their confusion.
I like the idea that maybe people before used to like stay by the lake because they would hear like the drumming or the melodies or whatever, and now they only like outside they don't do that anymore because they start hearing rumors that when there was no melody there was noise,
Mm-hmm.
and so people avoid that area now.
One very brief question. Do you take some of your research there?
Yes, I mean I think that's part of why I have closed the noise rift that's in there that I'm aware of, uh, is because I'm trying to study it.
Duly noted. Um,
Yeah,
so,
it's perfectly fine and not at all an issue to know of and interact with a noise rift and let it exist.
This research
Mhm.
project where I go out onto a dangerous lake all along to experiment with otherworldly noise can only be safe. Nothing go wrong.
yeah. What's a little alien tentacle emerging from a portal leading to another universe between friends?
Yeah,
Um,
There's an exact scenario in World of Horror that is precisely that, and I am, yes, very good into it.
mhm. So, what I think is the only real question that I need to ask again, which is not necessarily a thing that your characters might know, but a thing that is surely true about this universe is, um, what do you think the government in this world want most of all? Is it to be the richest? Is it to be the most powerful? Is it to rule by force? Is it to rule by faith? Do they like music? Do they hate music? What do we think this government wants most of all?
As somebody who's a big like cyberpunk nerd, I always find the corps that are the most interested in controlling the message to be the scariest. You know, a lot of the depictions of it is like, oh, it's the one with big gun that is the one to fear, and yeah, I guess. But the one that is able to kind of get their spin on things and profit from that under most people's notice are the most insidious, right? And if the kind of powers that be are specifically trying to harness noise, sound, and music to their ends, then that seems to go quite well with the spreading the message.
I would agree. I think it would perhaps be interesting maybe if the government itself, the corps were sort of along those lines, and then the government itself wasn't interested in a particular thing, but having their life be as easy as possible. They're not particularly ambitious. They just want to not have to do things, and are very comfortable letting the corps run things if it means less work for them.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. That they outsource all of the actual heavy lifting of nation building to their corps. But what matters most of all is that they still have actual supreme power, but they just don't actually want to have to get out of bed to use it. They just want to be considered powerful, which I like a lot. With that being said, I think that we've done all of the prep that is necessary to get into an actual game. Of course, we don't have a great deal of time at the moment, but I do want to definitely plant these two seeds in particular that will at some point come up. One of which is technically a kind of backstory thing that happens kind of off screen long before this point. This essentially took place when the song had reemerged. Magic would have been back on Earth maybe 2 or 3 years ago, when a news story comes up on the television. Everyone else here would have been children. I guess I need to know if Ava is actually watching TV when this happens at this point. About a pop star named Minnie Blue. And the story is about how her travel to a vacation spot in the Caribbean was cut short by a plane accident. and there are no visible, and what the pilot in and her partner are still like seriously injured on the plane, but there is no sign of Minnie Blue's body. And like this news story takes like hours. Think of like the kind of cultural impact of when Michael Jackson passed, and the news didn't stop talking about it for literal hours at a time. This is big news. Reporters are literally going out of their way to ask everybody who has ever even briefly interacted with Minnie Blue, how do they feel about the news? Very like intense, emotional interviews on TV right now. Ava, how do you feel when you see this?
You're muted.
Thank you. You said this happened how long ago?
This would have happened by the time that you had heard the frequency, by the time that you had actually listened to End in Isolation. This would have happened 2 years after that. So this is a flashback to when you were in your late-ish 20s.
Yeah. So like if she had
So I
been
guess I should
teaching-
ask first.
Yeah, if she probably would have started teaching by then, and I can definitely picture like a bunch of children like on their phones, like suddenly being like, "Oh my gosh, Miss Minnie Blue's gone," and she's just like, who?"
Wait, so does this happen in class? Does this news break while you're literally teaching a class then?
I definitely feel like it would. I definitely feel like, because plane accidents are rarely happen. Like you rarely get like them at convenient times.
Mm-hmm.
So like I definitely see like definitely
So
in the
just
middle of class, just for the drama of it, like a bunch of kids just suddenly being like, "Oh my gosh, Miss, this happened," and she's just being like, who is this?" and sort of doing like a deep dive into it and thinking like, what's like, because it concerns the kids, it's something that she would want to know about because they stopped her class for it.
Mm-hmm. So I just want to ask to make sure, what class do you teach?
I think she teaches history, which only leads to her frustration.
Right. So I'm just gonna like briefly set that scene because we don't have a lot of time. But so you're in class, actively going over a very important thing that you've already stressed will be on the next test. When you audibly hear everybody's phone start pinging, and they're not supposed to have their phones in class, but you've never actually stopped anyone because they're typically better behaved than this. And everybody's frantically getting to their phone, and one of the students in your class, who isn't she doesn't pay attention a great deal, but she's never been disruptive before, not as disruptive as she's being right now, because she's now going out of her way to let you know that she personally is in mourning and deserves to be let home from school because Minnie Blue is dead. And as you express as you have expressed the frustration that you've already stated that you're expressing, she goes out of her way to say, "But Miss, you don't understand. This is history too. She changed the landscape of pop music in our universe. Don't you understand? She's Minnie Blue. She's gone. Like, pop is dead. Do you understand, Miss? We just witnessed the passing of the last great pop musician of our lifetime. How am I supposed to carry on? What am I supposed to do now?" She's like visibly sobbing.
Oh my goodness. I feel like she's definitely concerned with her students. Like that, she's definitely a teacher that is very concerned with her students and tries to sort of shift things in such a way where people can feel like they're learning instead of being chastised. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that she'd sort of change her lesson right then, and she'd look at everyone and she'd be like, "Okay, guys, let's talk about Minnie Blue. You said this yourself. This is history happening right now. I don't know about her, so this is a chance for you guys to be the teachers. Tell me how you feel about this. Tell me how you are feeling, because what you are feeling is important. I'm not gonna
Mm-hmm.
let you all home because I can't. I'll get in trouble, and you guys will get in trouble too. But talk to me and tell me how you're feeling about history happening right now."
Um, as you say that, two hands very immediately shoot up into the air from like the furthest side of the room, like near to the door. And the two students who have raised their hands are um, two young men that you know for a fact are delinquent bullies who like generally never have anything to say in your class, but suddenly they're very attentive.
I think that's very exciting for Ava, and again, she's gonna try and sort of like rein in the worst impulses. She doesn't like when her students are unhappy, because unhappy students don't learn. And
Mm-hmm.
she's gonna call on probably the one who has the probably the first one she saw whose hand went up, and she's
Mm-hmm.
gonna say, "Okay, tell me."
Okay, so that kid, Dylan, gets up and says, as far as I know, the only thing that Minnie Blue actually ever did was have sex on camera. That's the last important thing that she ever did. And like all of the girls in the classroom start like visibly booing. One of them like throws their pencil
Oh
case
my
at him and he
goodness.
just like very gingerly ducks. Um and like
Okay,
he
that was
turns to them and is
wildly
like,
inappropriate.
am I wrong?
I
It's
I
like
don't know if you're wrong.
when was the last time she even made the news for anything other than that sex tape? Dodges another pencil case.
Okay,
Um,
all right, Dylan. One, that was wildly inappropriate. No one here asked to hear about that. We were asking to hear about a person who may be dead, Dylan. So let's think about that one, and I want you to think about that when you're going to be writing me a report tonight. 500 words on stuff that she has done that does not include that.
mhm. And then one of the girls in the back immediately pipes up and goes, especially since you know that the corpse made that up anyway. Like that was all a hoax. It's like all of the girls start nodding to themselves. Some of the boys start nodding as well. It's like Dylan looks at them very quizzically. And then the girl turns to you and goes, "Yeah, they made that up. Co-ops do that all the time. That it was in the news like almost immediately after it happened."
It is, as a history teacher, students, I know you guys don't think a lot about my job because you're sitting here and you're forced to listen to me, and I try to listen to you. But there's a lot of things that I lived through that you're not going to read in here because it's something that they don't want you to hear, which is why I teach not in the book a lot of the times. You listen to me and you hear all these other things that you might not get to read in your books. So it's very important that you guys continue as you are. Question what you hear and make sure you find the truth. And so, thank
And
you.
just as you say that, just as you're about to finish your thank you, the bell rings. School is now over. And everybody immediately starts filing past you as they are wont to do. Um, but the girl who was crying before takes your hand and says, like very like softly and carefully, "Thank you so much for that. I'm so grateful to know that you cared as much about Minnie Blue as I did, even though you have no idea how magnificent she was and all of the great ways that she pioneered the pop art form in our universe. But I appreciate that you were willing to ask. And then she just immediately grabs her things and starts rushing out through the door.
Oh my goodness.
Um, and now we zoom forward to reveal that this is just like an idle flashback that you're having while you're just like waiting around at the community center because one of the teenagers in the clefts who frequents the community center just to like hang out regularly, just sit around with their friends, brought their boombox and put it down on a table nearby and set it on the radio. And one of the first things that plays is a song called Blue Summer by Minnie Blue. And you're like, I heard like one of the kids was playing this for me in that class. It's a nice song. It's cool. And just as that fades, just as the song fades out, it fades into one of those very, very loud, very eager Sunday, Sunday, Sunday kind of ads for an upcoming Soundclash that is going to take place in the state of Sonata, that it's still gathering names for potential performers as it comes up in a few weeks from now. And as you hear that, and like in the background is like the Sonata adapted version of the frequency as they know it from the corpse. And you're hearing it in the background and going, yeah, that's not right, but it's gotten your attention and now you're listening to the ad. And as you pay attention, as the ad gives you more information about how to sign up for this Battle of the Bands and what they're looking forward to, and that the grand prize is $10 million and a record deal. And as you immediately perk up to that news, smash cut to black. That's the end of that scene. And with that, we're going to have some wild fun in our actual session one. But thank you very much for joining me in this session 0 of this game. I'm really glad to be able to share this story with you all, to share this janky, held together by tape game called Soundclash. I'm really glad that you're all excited to actually join me on this trip.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really looking forward to causing trouble with you all. But
So you have
before
no
we
idea.
continue, yes, but before that happens, obviously we will be back very soon. I am almost certain that this is going to be a fortnightly session because we previously discussed how we would want to be able to do that in terms of coming back. Obviously, I am in control of Sundays on this channel. So I'm looking forward to joining you all in 2 Sundays from now with the official session 1 of Soundclash the Clampdown. But while Arvan Eleron is in the chat asking who is in control, I should obviously return control to Greg at this point so we can officially sign off. But before that happens, I would like everyone to reintroduce themselves and talk a little bit about any of the things that you'd like, where people can find more information about you and the things that you do, starting with Valeria.
Oh God, I feel like I've talked so much during this session. Again, you guys can find me on any of your major podcatchers on Kingdom Hearts: A Forgotten Era, where I play a himbo, dark himbo. You can also find me every other Wednesday. So this coming Wednesday on Off the Table on Russ Wild's Monster of the Week game. It's very fantastic. I play another very emotional witch, so it's going to be really good. And you can also right there you'll see my Twitter at Villain Vincencio, and you'll see my very loud opinions about racial equity and also cartoons.
Nice. Next, Nathan.
Hi, hello. I'm Nathan Blades, your new favorite parasocial relationship. It's nice to meet you, and I hope you all enjoyed the stream. You can find me at Phantom Arts Ent on Twitter. You can also find me here on Twitch at the Neon Caster, where we stream a wide variety of indie tabletop RPGs, including a teenage urban fantasy mystery campaign, Arcana Core, inspired by the Persona video games. I also have a podcast called The Talent Agency. That is a mixed system cyberpunk actual play about a bunch of queer gentlemen and ladies and non-binaries working in the arts and entertainment industry in 2077's UK. Follow me for loud gay trash, TM.
Nice. Next, Katie.
This is my first Twitch RPG campaign, so you cannot find me any other places on Twitch. Thank you for looking. On Twitter, you can find me at Katie Peak, like Mountain Peak or Twin Peak. If you want to find me in other podcast-esque spaces, I'm the voice of Grace Chen on the Valence podcast, an urban fantasy audio drama, which you can find at ValencePod or valencepod.com.
And next, Amber.
Hey, I am muted properly. Hi, I'm the person who knows how to operate Zoom. You can also call me Amber as if that's too long. You can find me everywhere on the internet at Amaras, including Twitter as the main sort of like central point. You can hear my voice on the Superiors podcast, which is a Southeast Asian fantasy inspired podcast that wasn't D&D. We're moving to a new system, but you can check that out. You can also hear my voice on guesting on a variety of different places. No other active streams, but by the next time we're here, I will have some news for you, so that'll be exciting. And other than that, I also do some game design stuff. I do some streams of that, so if you're at all interested in watching me and my co-designer bang our head against the Google Doc and try to figure out how to make games work for like 1 to 3 hours until we burn out, you can come find that on Saturdays. Other than that, I do some game design work, and you can find it on my Twitter or my page. Cool.
Nice. And yet again, I am Brandon O'Brien. I am a writer, poet, game designer. I am the poetry editor of Fire, a magazine of Black speculative fiction, which is about to have its first convention in October called FireCon, and I'm really looking forward to it. So if you haven't registered for that yet, you should. You can find me on Twitter, Twitch, and almost everywhere else at The Rising Tides. I also have an itch store, therisingtides.itch.io, where you can find, among other things, my very latest addition, a crew sheet for Blades in the Dark that allows you to play fugitives if you want to ever experience what it's like to play Blades as wrongfully accused folks running for their life and trying their very best to solve a puzzle before the puzzle ruins them. That's there for you to play. And you can see me here on this channel now 3 times a month as we run this fortnightly, and as we arrange for our very next session of Blades in the Dark, The Case of the Cindered Seal, where you get to see our group of 4 fugitives attempt to solve one of the weirdest, most Twin Peaks-esque puzzles of their entire universe, and get to see what that fugitive's crew sheet looks like in action. So thank you so very much for having me here. Thank you so very much for joining me on this wild adventure called Soundclash, the Clampdown. And I look forward to seeing you again soon. Until then, Arvanelleron, you may return whenever you wish.
I am here and returned. Wonderful stuff, everyone. Chat, can we get some love for the amazing crew and, of course, the amazing Brandon O'Brien. Great Session 0. I cannot wait to see where the adventure is going to go from here. And Yeah, I was I was really digging some of the references of people like, oh, it's like this song, that band, this genre, that thing, this type, that anime, over 9,000. It was great. So I am very excited to see more. So thanks everyone. This is good stuff, and I am very excited to see where it's going to go. Apparently, as I have given up control of my channel, I'm now told reliably on Sundays to Brandon. So I'm told. So
you can win it back in a Soundclash. It's fine.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is the
it.
opening sequence, and now there's a training montage of me running up a mountain, and at the end, Brandon and I battle it out for supremacy. Anyway,
definitely.
that's how these things actually work. No, seriously, it was amazing. Thank you all so much. I am very excited to have everyone back soon, and I think you will notice that chat will feel the same way. So I will say goodbye to everyone for now. Thank you all. I will end the Zoom call for me. You can hang around and talk there. But bye all for now. Peace. All right. And that is going to do it for, as he quickly gets rid of the things on the other screen that he totally was prepared to do this entire time with no issues whatsoever. Come on, you can do it. Okay, good. There we go. So good stuff, everyone. That was great. I really, really enjoyed it. It was a great first session. I think it's neat, and I've been telling you all along I was pumped up about this, just because I think it's unique, it's unusual, and it's continuing to do what Dot and I talked about on Masters of the Dungeon 2 months ago, and Brandon and I talked a little bit about on Friday on Masters of the Dungeon, which is just the richness of what tabletop experience can bring is amazing. And frankly, we haven't had nearly enough sort of music-connected stuff on this channel. As you all know, music is near and dear to me too, so on all those levels, I am very excited to have here. So that's great. I am super excited. I know it. Listen, that's what I'm all about, Rudnell. I bring in the noise, and then apparently I cede control of my channel one day at a time. No, but that is not accurate. But it is accurate to say that I am very fortunate to be surrounded by a bunch of talented and awesome people. So I also want to thank the players too. Some of them, like Nathan, have a great deal of experience in the live Twitch streaming space and so on. And for some folks, this is, as Katie said, their first, ever actual Twitch stream RPG type experience, and so everyone did great. And obviously the crew is going to have a chance to sort of build chemistry with each other and with the chat and everything as things go on. But even just for a session 0, it was cool to see it. So I'm very excited about that, and good work as always out of chat too. So please spread the word about this, because spreading the word about this is very important, so that we can broaden exposure to this awesome new system, this awesome new game, these awesome new players and GM, and we can continue to bring people in there. And if you were watching and saying to yourself, man, it seems like there's some good role playing there, I wonder if this channel does any more of it. Yes, it does. Let me tell you, this channel does a whole lot more of role playing stuff, and it's going to be starting on Tuesday. Actually, on Monday we have got Sod returning with the premiere of Temple of Elemental Evil, so Grumbler's Guide to Temple of Elemental Evil, Monday evening. And then Tuesday I will be back midday with Tron 2.0, which is the Patreon Field Chat Chosen Game in the month. And then I will be DMing the Intrepid GOG crew with D&D with GOG Storm King's Thunder, as they are moving on into not quite the home stretch, but they're definitely on the back nine. If I can come up with any other terrible analogies, please let me know. So that'll be happening. And then on Wednesday, we have Community D&D with Trishy Mats and Rock God and Echo Alpha X5 and Hoodie, and of course Shadowed Mage as your DM for that. Thursday will be off, and then Friday we will have Esper Genesis, my space opera game, and it looks like I'll have an announcement on Friday as well, although I'm not going to make it my big announcement about the announcement. I'll be able to let people know about that Monday or Tuesday, but there's a chance I'll have an announcement for you folks about something pretty awesome that'll be coming up on Friday. And then Saturday we have D&D with viewers. So if you would like to play with me and would like to actually play some more of this game, and be like, how do I learn more about Dungeons and Dragons and how do I play with other people, you'll get your chance on Saturday, which is D&D with viewers, and that will close out the month of August and lead to what is going to be a real busy September on a lot of levels. So I am looking forward to it. If you like what you saw and heard, please follow the channel, check out the YouTube with exclamation point ArvTube, Twitter with exclamation point ArvTweets, Discord with exclamation point ArvCord, and the website for all of that is arvaneleron.com. On the financial side, exclamation point Arv Shop is the merchandise area where you can get Infinity and Beyond merchandise, Adventures in Middle-earth merchandise, and soon to be Esper Genesis merchandise as well. Exclamation point Arvtreon is sitting right there, 310 this month. That is what's going on over there because we had someone who picked up the annual subscription. Those of you who support the Patreon is now allowing people to subscribe annually, and the benefit to the person is that if you subscribe for an entire year, you get 16% savings off of what you would have paid for a year if you were just doing it month by month by month. So totally up to you if you want to do that, but Nonstop did that yesterday, and of course it's good for the creators because they know that money is locked in. It's good for the people because they save some money, so all that kind of stuff. It'll be good. It's over. You missed it. Oh, you were great, Rising Tides. You were great, as I expected would be the case. It's over, Rock Up, but you can check out that VOD for sure. So, yes. So anyway, that is going to be happening on Saturday. And yes. So, I was thinking about Rock God and D&D with viewers, but anyway, yes, you know about that. So where was I? I was talking about, the Discord, the thing, the blah, the boo, boo. Oh yes. The Patreon, which is that, annual subscription thing. So that's exclamation point Arvtreon. Again, cool stuff for you and cool stuff for the channel. You can get inspirations to help the players in these campaigns, including the crew of Soundclash, the Clash crew. Yeah, you can do that, and that would be super awesome. And then the last thing, of course, is the sub button right above that video window, or below the video window, I guess. Currently, we're sitting at about 85 subs. Would love to see that go up as well. You can get custom sub badges, custom emotes. That money goes right back in to support the channel, and it also makes a difference because you can get, again, inspirations to help the players out as well. So please consider jumping on board with that. Last, the publishing stuff. Exclamation point Icarus for details about my Icarus and Jelenic graphic novels, which are currently out, going out to reviewers and to blurbers, and will be released in retail form on November 10th. So we're very excited about what we hope will be a very positive reception. I'm very excited about the art. I know some of you in here who backed the Kickstarter have gotten those copies, so that's very awesome. Exclamation point Library is Tales and Tomes from the Forbidden Library, my D&D 5e adventure and sourcebook from Alligator Alley Entertainment. Currently a silver seller on DriveThruRPG, and the print proofs are going to be coming to us in the next few days. We got a couple of proofs already in digital form from the printer, which looks really great, so we're excited about that. And exclamation point Greyshade KS for details about my Greyshade Kickstarter. I'll announce probably, if not tomorrow, then probably Tuesday, about whether that is going to be happening in October or February. So it'll be happening, just, hang in there, patience, and you will learn about this, what I'm really excited about, which is that project as well. And of course, most importantly, exclamation point BLM, Black Lives Matter. We've been talking about this quite a bit over the last few months. We will continue to talk about it. It is the radical idea that Black Lives Matter, and therefore we need to make a difference in Black Lives Matter, and also the creative voices within Black Lives Matter too. Exclamation point BLM will get you to that link where you can check out that resource card, which is constantly updated. It has information about educational resources for you, for your kids, for people around you, your friends, variety of topics on a variety of different subjects, all circling around the cause of BLM, and of course places that you can donate as well. So please check that out because that is super important. Now, since we had a pretty solid turnout for a Sunday, I think we are going to do a raid for today. So let me see where we're going to go. The way the raids work are really simple on this channel. If you are not a sub, you're going to do this, and you're going to do the Arvanauts Have Landed, followed by Twitch raid. That's uppercase TW, sorry, lowercase Twitch, uppercase R, lowercase AID. And sub raid, which is the Arvanauts Have Landed, and it goes Arvany Hype, ARVANEH, all lowercase, and then uppercase H, lowercase YPE, then Twitch raid again, and then ARVANE, all lowercase, uppercase R, lowercase OAR, when you are brought over automagically to the folks that we are going to be raiding any moment. And I think, let's see who we've got. Oh, I know who we are going to raid today, I think. Yes, we are going to raid someone who it is very appropriate to raid based upon experience on the channel. So just stick around and you'll be brought over automatically, and then you can drop that message in chat. I want to thank my amazing mods, Rudnell, Rock God, Shadowed Mage, for being awesome and super cool. Thank you, Shadowed Mage, again for that awesome overlay. Thank you so much for the logo and everything and for being a badass. And thank you, Rudnell, for being here and modding the channel, managing things essentially on your own as the mod this time. That was great. And Arudinel, speaking of being awesome, has gifted a tier 1 sub to the Neon Caster. So the Neon Caster now is officially an Arvanaut. I'm sure Nathan is happy to hear that. Thanks. Thank you so much, Arudinel. I appreciate that, man. That's very nice of you. And hey, what's up, Ditch? Oh, it's my pleasure. So yes, thanks to my wonderful mods. Thanks to my subscribers, Rudnell, Rockgod, Shadowmage, Crit Twitch, Garlic Tofu. Good to see you, Garlic Tofu. Lone Wolf, Mrs. Dunsel, Prince Justin. Always a pleasure to see Prince Justin. The Rising Tides and Trisha Mats. Wonderful to see both of them. And of course, Rising Tides. Special thanks to you for an amazing game, my friend. Thank you so much. Thank you to my viewers. Thank you to 1FPS. Thank you to Admiral KK. Thank you to Amuraz, who just joined us, of course, as one of the players. Thank you, and did a great job. Thank you to another TT viewer. Thank you to Cherry Drop Are You. Thank you to Commander Root, Diginferno, Dino, ECAG, Gigafrost, Lurks, Macaroni. Thank you to Remember the Ages. That's a good name. Thank you to Remistino, Thicker, U Christensen, Universe, VNK, Villain Vicencio. Good work again today from Villain Vicencio, who, of course, is one of the players, too. Virgo Praz, Wee Mad Hamish, and Dark Soul, I think. Solks. Thanks so much to all the people who are here. Please stick around for the raid, and I will see you lovely folks tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. Eastern for Sod and a Grumbler's Guide to Temple of Elemental Evil. Until then, Session 0 of Soundclash, the Clampdown, is in the books. Tell everyone how amazing it was, and let us make them the power chord of Twitch streams. I know that's the stupidest thing that anyone's ever heard, but it was worth it because Arudinel gifted a tier 1 sub to Villain. I don't know whether it was worth after that horrific, dumb joke for you to gift a sub to Villain Vicencio. But anyway, welcome to the Arvanauts, Villain Vicencio, and thanks, Arudinel. I appreciate it. That's going to do it for me. Much love to all of you, and I will see all of you lovely folks soon. Until I see you on Monday evening, everyone be good to each other. Have a good night. Honk.